Anyway.
They're my new glasses.
Oh, very nice.
Burgundy.
Oh, they're very nice, yes. Sure.
I only got them yesterday, Cope.
Wow.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Perfect occasion for it then.
Yes. Yeah, and nicknames at school, they used to call me Teddy Broomstick. God knows where they got, maybe I was as thin as a broomstick, or broomstick was kind of close to Bromfield. Can't see it myself, but that was my nickname. It wasn't no consequence. Yeah, it was just in fun, I think. It wasn't a sling-off name.
My eldest sister Connie, who was 10 years older, she used to call me Liz because I always thought I was Elizabeth. So that's the only nickname that I can remember.
Oh my goodness me. Because of my, I haven't got a lower denture, it's confined to what I can eat that's soft. And I love making stews in the pressure cooker, which is soft. So, as bland as it might seem, I get some pretty good flavours in stew.
My favourite's always been fish and chips. Every Friday night, and my father would bring fish and chips home after he'd spent hours at the hotel. He'd bring the fish and chips home on his push bike, and we always look forward to them, and I still love them.
I'd give you the choice. Yes, I like cooking, I do indeed. And I cook a lot for Bet, don't I, love?
You do, yes,
And,
you do indeed.
and we have omelette about a couple of times a week, a pretty fancy omelette with noodles, and we vary it from time to time. But we both enjoy it, and it's very nutritious.
I think I'd be making a chicken dish that your mother gave me, and everybody seems to enjoy that, with noodles and lots of trimmings with it. Very nice.
I can't go past Betty, and I think it's close by. Well, my mate Ron, who was a neighbour, he's a builder. And we get along very nicely, and he'd be good company for joining me with a meal. Ron Spenderwildy is his name, isn't that a funny name? Spenderwildy. They call him Spendy.
I'd just like to have the whole family. Over the years we've had many other friends come, but most of them have passed away. But now I think I'd just love to have my family.
In my workshop, doing some little project or other, and working with my electric tools, which I've enjoyed over the years because I didn't have them as a young fella. But I love making odds and ends and little projects. And in the last couple of years, I've developed quite a strong, almost passion for gardening. Haven't got a lot to show for it, but I enjoy planting seeds and watching them come through, So they're about the couple of things I like best of all.
Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, been out and done a bit of painting this morning, the bird bath and the meter box I painted, the water meter box that is, white so that I don't crash into it when I'm backing out. Probably riding my bike over to meet my girlfriends from Holland Street over to Beaconsfield, which was quite a ride on my push bike.
And pole dancing. Remember you were pole
line dancing.
No.
Pole dancing.
It was an early model Ford Prefect with a very narrow wheelbase. All other cars were, say, a metre. This one was a good deal less than a metre, which made them very unstable on the road. But I had it for years. In your time, I didn't.
Yes,
when we were
courting days.
Yeah, a Ford Prefect. What a heap of junk. At that same time, Morris Miners were on the market, and they were just so many streets ahead of the Ford product, and I was always envious that I couldn't afford a Morris Minor, and was stuck with this heap of junk, this Ford Prefect, a little box it was.
I think my first car was a funny little Austin. Is that right, Ted?
Yeah, probably.
Funny little old heavy thing that I hated driving. And I used to have a neighbour that she loved driving, so I used to get her to drive it if we'd go to Midland. I'd drive around here. Do you remember it was a
Yes,
horrible
indeed.
big thing? So it was an Austin, I think.
Did you have the Hillman Hunter?
Later.
Later.
Yeah, later, yes.
That was a
But
bit
the
up
Austin
market.
was the very first one that
Yeah.
got for me.
Do you know both our girls, and we had 3 Hillman Hunters at one
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
I purposely did it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a work card, didn't I? But because I was conversant with, I wanted to be able to interchange. 3 Hillman Hunters.
One for Julie, one for your mother, and one for me.
Yeah.
And your mother took hers over east on the train, I think.
I think she
She sent it over, and she sold it over before coming back.
Easy
Yeah.
to work on, and I used to enjoy going to Meriden, didn't I? Which
Yes.
is a couple of hundred clicks east of here. Meriden, because that was my birthplace. Not that I just had a fascination with going back and seeing the things that I knew so well as a kid. Yeah, Meriden.
Well, my driving used to Fremantle or to the casino, which I loved dearly, but I don't love anymore. You don't win there, so I've given that away. Fremantle probably was the furthest I ever drove.
I was a cleaner. No, I was a call boy. Now that's not to be confused with a call girl. I was a call boy on the railways, and my job was to go ride a bike around the town of Meriden and wake up the crews for the various departures, which went right through the night. I used to start at 9 o'clock and finish at 6 in the morning, calling up. You'd have a list of all the crews, because Meriden was a railway junction, and there was 5 lines in and out, and so there was trains coming and going all hours of the day and night, and they were entitled to be woken up to get a call, and that was the job of the call boy. So riding around Meriden, waking up the crews to go, that was guards and conductors and drivers and firemen, all the other auxiliary railway fellas.
And my first job, Co, was to go to Perth in what we used to have. Parlour coach was like a little small minibus, and I went to Perth for 6 weeks learning to be an alteration hand with ladies' clothing. And after 6 weeks, I got a job in Fremantle to be at a frock shop and do the same thing. So then I spent many years there.
For me, I guess it was to be a policeman, and eventually I was, of course. But that was what I always aspired to. And I can remember being very enthusiastic about encouraging you and Brent to get into the police force. Of course, I'm glad you didn't now. But, I mean, who knows, you might be commissioner. But yeah, police force, to be a policeman, loved it.
I just loved my job, so I don't think I ever wanted anything else. And after that particular job, I went around the corner to another frock shop and helped out there. So that's all I ever did.
This came from Mick Carroll, who meant so much to me as a young fellow because he gave me so much good advice. And I remember him when I was complaining about having to go and get cut kindling wood. I used to have to go out. Yeah, it was just a weekly job, and I hated doing it. And I said to Mick one day how I hated it, and he said, "As you grow up, you will find." You will find that there are things in life that you don't like doing, but you've got to do, so just accept. That was about it.
I think my best advice was when I met Ted and we got married. He used to tell me, if you're going to do a job, do it properly from the start. So I've always tried to do that, and so I think that's probably the best advice I ever got, because I like to follow through and finish things before moving on to the next thing.
Just a pity I didn't stick to my own advice.
Well, you did for a number of
I did
years.
as a young fellow.
You did, for many years.
One tends to get very slack as one gets mature in age. That's an easy one, because I love to watch the programs Air Crash Investigation, which I think Brent introduced me to some 30 years ago. He bought me a box of a video of what we call them in those days. Anyway, tapes of the air crash investigation. And I think they were just starting up on the on TV. And he put me this box, and I've loved it ever since. And there's hardly a day goes by without I don't watch an episode or two. And there's hundreds coming online all the time, new ones. Hardly a day goes by without I don't watch air crash investigation. Yeah, so I'm pretty full. I'm just about a qualified pilot.
I do a few things. I love music, and I've got several groups that I follow. And then I love listening to the American Trump, the ex-president. I love following all their news and what's happening. So that's how I spend my time looking at that.
I love to hear classical music, and if you ask me my favourite piece of music in the world, it's a thing by it's a thing called The Second Waltz by, I know his name but I can't think of it. Yeah, just light classical music, not the heavy stuff, but I do love it. I have it on a lot at home. It almost touches your heart, it's almost emotional. It's so beautiful. That's the stuff I like. Shostakovich is the name of the musician that wrote that piece called The Second Waltz.
Joe took me to a live show in Perth to see Daniel O'Donnell, and I absolutely love his music, Irish singer. And of course I love El Divo, the four group of men that I watch regularly. So I'd say they're my favourite, anything to do with love.
The first concert I ever went to was the one that sort of sparked my interest in classical music, and it was at the, it was with a youth group. I don't know how I got involved there, but I remember it was a trip down from Meriden, where I lived, and one of the outings was to the match factory, where they made matches. And
North Fremantle.
yeah, and I can remember the embarrassment of the fellow saying, "This is a highly explosive area. If you've got matches, if you smoke, don't." We were kids. Some were smoking. And he asked, if you've got matches on you, well, nobody would own up to it, but because you weren't allowed to have anything inflammable in a match factory. Hey, but I digress. It was a concert I went to, and that was the other feature we went to, and that was an introduction to the various classical musical instruments, and it was for kids, for young people, and it was for that purpose, an introduction, and it served its purpose well, because from then on I followed the interest that it sparked.
Well, I think the best concert was the Daniel O'Donnell one, but anything before that I can't recall, and probably didn't go to anything.
And that movie I can rewatch time and time again, the Castle, and it's funny. And comedians, I love to watch comedians.
I like to watch detective things like Judge Deere, I think that's how you say his name, which used to be on every Thursday night, so I love to see that. And then Tuesday night he's got another show where he's a detective. So that's mostly what I've been watching.
Yeah, it's a toss-up between, the Castle, the Australian one, and as a good backup I liked Lawrence of Arabia.
Mine's Sound of Music. Love that.
We were in Gelden, so we just got married, so it was about 1959.
We came down to Perth then.
That's right. Television started up. We were in Gelden, but you could hardly get reception in Gelden. We certainly didn't have a set. But then we came down to Perth, which would have been 1960, and bought a television set, and that's from then on we've had it. It was the old black and white.
Mostly just news and.
Gilligan's Island.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
good on
that's
that.
right. Yeah.
Gilligan's Island. As a family show, we used to watch it. And the kids. I don't read at all. Because I'm very slow reader and I find it tedious, tiresome almost. I don't know whether it's a throwback from school days. But I listen to audiobooks and I absolutely love them. There's not a day goes by without I haven't got one of my audiobooks playing in the background. Yeah. Love them. Filled in a very big part of my life, entertainment. While I'm working around the house or wherever, I've got the audiobook playing on my tablet.
I don't read now. Early days I used to, and you're going to ask me what I used to read. I can't remember, but I did. I used to read a lot, but not anymore. There was a whole series of children in the attic.
Oh yes.
And there was a series of about 12 books, so I would have read all of them.
Children in the Attic.
Yes.
That was so popular, wasn't
Oh,
it?
they were.
Mick Carroll, my sister's husband, Mick Carroll, he was sort of the father figure for me. And I benefited so much. He was, very clever guy and very patient with me, patient in respect to teaching me stuff. Stuff I learned from him, I would never have had a clue. Like electricity and mechanical and hydraulics and all those sort of general subject stuff which I had no idea about. And he used to spend hours with me going through the mechanics of. And just as an aside, and I thought of this the other day, but as you know, Harry, my dad, was the first diesel, when diesels first came in on the railways, he was the first diesel driver in Mundaring, Merredin. And he was really battling with the course of correspondence course it was, on how, all about diesels. And the same Mick Carroll, who used to tutor me, tutored Dad on these on the diesel course. And I think it was generally accepted that Dad would never got through without Mick's guidance, tutoring on that.
Wow.
And so he became the first diesel driver.
And your pop was the first to ever have a car in Merredin, wasn't he?
He was one of the
First car ever in Merredin. Ted's father had.
Yeah.
What was it, Ted?
It was a Holden. When the Holdens first came out. I remember sitting for hours in the car going through the motions of the gears.
Wow.
How old was I? 15 something? 16? I don't know. Yes.
I'd have to say my mum, I idolised her, and she was just a beautiful mum. To rear 9 children and, the hardships that she had, I have to say. But I still think every day about her. I loved her.
She reared a daughter of the same calibre.
Oh, God with you.
13 was always the unlucky number, so the routine of, let's say, cleaning your teeth, I'd brush them and then I'd think, oh hell, that might have been 13, so I'd have to go through it again. And I'd purposely go to 15, but then I'd think, geez, maybe I miscounted them, I don't know. I'd better go 16 just to make sure. So I'd do what a load of crap. It was, and there were others, there were many others, similar, about whether you'd have good luck or bad luck. I think it stems from an insecurity thing in your past. You don't want to be, you've got enough crap in your life without having bad luck about cleaning your teeth.
I don't think I've ever had any. No, I don't honestly think that I've never had those.
Overseas, I guess it was Singapore, wasn't it, in the very early days?
Early days.
We used to love going there. But locally, we had good times in Mandurah because we had a caravan down there that I bought from Bill Volich. And we used to go with the kids and stay in this caravan at the caravan park. Scotty's
Yeah.
caravan park
Yeah.
in Mandurah. And that was always very enjoyable.
In the early days, little shacks at Mandurah, that same Scotties, remember?
Oh,
The
yes.
girls, they'd be in one part, there was two sides to it. That's right, isn't it?
Probably.
Just a patio in between us, and the girls would be that side and Pop and I'd be this side. We spent Christmas there a few times.
Did we really?
Yeah,
Same Scottish caravan.
Caravan.
Right in the centre of Mandurah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could be still there.
Could be. It was a sea, an ocean voyage. It was organised trip, and we went up on the ship called the Orchids, and we went to Singapore, and a couple of days. Oh God, we stayed in the Taj. No, not there.
Yeah,
Singapore, then to Bombay,
yeah.
and we stayed in the Taj. Went off the ship, and stayed several days in that very famous hotel called the Taj Mahal, and it was magnificent. What wonderful memories! You
Yes,
got
I
clear
do
memories?
have lovely memories of that.
And then
Ceylon.
we got on another ship to come home, and it called in to Ceylon, Sri Lanka, and that was all of those just the most wonderful, wonderful memories of
Our first trip.
our first trip for sure. Gorgeous. Yeah, I don't have a bucket list for places to go. I think I've been so lucky to have done the places that we have.
Yes.
And so I reckon I've had a fortunate life.
Yeah, I've travelled to most of the places that I wanted to go to. If there was another place, perhaps Ireland, it was about the only one that I would think that I, would have still loved to have gone to, but not now. Finished with travelling.
I don't have a problem answering that because I can remember reading it in one of the first books I read as books on philosophy of how to be a success or how to win friends and influence people. And I think that stood out was perseverance. Whatever you're doing, go the extra mile. Don't back off halfway because you're not winning. Go the extra mile, persevere, and you will ultimately be successful. That's stuck with me, and I think it has paid off certainly with me, and I'd give it the same advice to any person.
I really don't know where to go with that.
We've been so lucky, haven't
We have been terribly
So
lucky with
fortunate.
our family, and we've loved every minute of the recent years that Ted and I have been back together. We never ever stopped seeing our family together, but I'm more than happy with the way things have worked
Sure.
out.
We've been, I'm loath to say this, but we've been indeed blessed,
Yeah.
but not in a religious connotation.
No.
I've enjoyed. Thanks, Kay.
Very good. Thank you.
you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing it maybe.